Get the fuck in, yeah! Welcome to the Talkin Kop, everybody. We are here for a post-match reaction show. I'm your absolutely overjoyed and delighted host, Matt. I'm joined by Kev, I'm joined by Chris, and I'm joined by Ashley and everybody here in the chat. And we are going to pick through the bones of a trip, Kev, that normally does not bear a lot of fruit for Liverpool Football Club and going up to the Etihad. Not a lot of wins for us to speak of there, but we got one today, buddy.
Oh, that was massive. Look, just it was helped by the what happened yesterday with Arsenal. That just made this all the sweeter. But what a performance! Completely, totally different performance to anything you've seen under Arne Slot, bar none. That was a defensive masterclass. That's how you go and play away in top games, and a monumental effort. A monumental effort put in by every single one of them, bar none. The amount of ground that was covered, the amount of last-ditch blocks, the calmness when we tried to get on the ball, it was brilliant. It was an outstanding win. I'm over the moon with that. Over the moon with that.
Yeah, it's Centurion pointing out that Kev the ref is back. That's quite mean. We're all going to be friends here. I said that's a Collingwood AFL jersey, I believe, or Geelong or something like that. It's definitely an Aussie rules. Kev's wearing shorty shorts. You just can't see it. That's off the screen. So it goes with it.
If you become part of our Patreon, you get to see Kevin in shorty shorts.
That's
one of the members' benefits.
Top to bottom screens.
Yeah, there's no membership worth that.
Yes.
That's one of the top tier memberships. That one, isn't it, Kev?
Oh no,
nobody's signing up for that. Jesus, come on. Hey, Chris, it was. I mean, a few people in there saying, effortless, great performance and stuff like that. And you said it before we went live. Like it felt a bit like a European away performance. And I think we're definitely going to talk about all the players on both sides as we go through this, but a huge credit has to go to Arne Slot and the coaching staff because we went out there with a game plan and that game plan worked and we executed the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a European away performance. That is what we want to see them do. So I was saying that's the most relaxed I've been watching Liverpool away at the Etihad, and that's saying something because normally away at the Etihad is absolutely horrific. But Liverpool just had their game plan, was to pack the middle, and let City have the ball with the two centre-backs or let City have the ball out wide, and they just picked them off. If anything, the only criticism you have of Liverpool is probably that could have been a little bit better with the ball and probably could have picked them off a bit more. But other than that, absolutely delighted. 11 points clear, 11 to go, boxed it.
Yeah, PW saying I should be recovering from a 90-minute-long football-induced anxious breakdown, and I'm just not. That was an incredible performance. Centurion LFC saying that was the best game we could have played. Everything missing in recent games, we had bucket loads of it. Precise defensive effort, keeping the box clear, good defensive shape, control from early season. I mean, Ashley, that's kind of it, those two comments there of like, you expect a game against Man City to be fraught with anxiety, and it just wasn't. But it was also a perfect rebound from the mini blip that we were having. The late loss draw to Everton, and the drop points at Aston Villa, and all of a sudden, everything looks a little rosier in the garden. And the performance and result from Liverpool today is a big indicator of that. Like it was just perfect.
It was. I think that we've seen glimmers of this. We looked back at the last couple of games feeling quite down about ourselves. But if you look back to that Villa game, I think you saw glimmers of Slot kind of tweaking the system a little bit with kind of this build up in mind toward this game. And I think especially that midfield and the way that we used those four midfielders today, that felt very reminiscent of that Villa game. And to just see it kind of all come into play. We talk about how difficult it is to implement new tactics mid-season. We don't have any time to train. You're just, it's rest and then repeat and then rest and then repeat. To see Slot be able to recognize some issues from Everton and Wolves, correct them over the course of the last week, and then execute the plan so perfectly today, that to me is a sign of a top coach. And that's, I think, what we saw today. We saw Slot handle that game in such a professional manner. He didn't let the occasion get the better of him. He didn't let Pep, who's one of his idols, get the better of him. It just felt like, I don't know, just sort of the consummate performance of a very professional, very intelligent coach. And I'm so happy he's ours.
Yes, he is ours. He is all ours. And it was just surprising because I haven't really been following the news of his appeal or red card or whatever. I was just happy to see that he was on the sidelines for
That's
this.
true. I didn't even
alongside
think about
Spike Ulehoff, which was always good. I mean, the big lineup news that comes out, I mean, for us, it's the fact that we go with Jones and Szoboszlai in the team, kind of a 2-10, going to use one as the left winger sort of thing. Gakpo, at least healthy enough to get back on the bench for Liverpool. And no Erling Haaland in the squad at all for Man City. First time, I think, since the end of April of 2024 that he hasn't featured for Man City. Kev, I thought the lack of Haaland was actually going to cause us more trouble than if he'd have been fit and available, because he's such a focal point for that Man City team that they look to funnel everything through him. And Marmoush has come in and he's provided such a different option to what Haaland puts forward, that when I saw the lineup drop and there was no Haaland in it, I was a little like, "Ooh, shit! I don't like that."
Yeah, I mean, look at their lineup, and they've got Marmoush listed as like one of the midfield four, with Gonzalez sitting at Foden in a false nine type of role. Yeah, I was really worried about that as well. I think Haaland, as good as he is, and he is, let's just be honest about it, he's lethal if you give him time and space. He's easier to mark than for Konate and Van Dijk than what Marmoush turned out to be. He gives you different problems, and even Foden in the first 10 minutes, I thought. After I think about 10 minutes in, Slot made a change, because Foden was picking up all kinds of weird positions. It took us about 10 minutes to get to grips with what City were trying to do. And yeah, they have that ability with the pace they have out wide and if you've got runners in and around the box, to cause you all kinds of nightmares. And it was a real test. People can be excited and happy and delighted, rightly so. Great performance by us, but that was a hard-earned win. We did not have much of the ball. It's very rare in the last 8 years of watching Liverpool that we will have less than 40% of the ball against anyone. And for us to voluntarily do that and give that up and be that disciplined, be that side that sits in shape and looks to not counter, ridiculously, but when you break, be accurate with your passing and be clinical with it. For us to do that, it shows, okay, so they can play that way as well. Yeah, we can dominate you with the ball. Yeah, we can play you on the counter. Now we can just draw you in and stop you creating anything, and we'll beat you that way too. It's a brilliant feather in the bow, especially with the second half of the European season about to kick off soon. It's mental how good we were.
Yeah, it's just great.
The one thing I will say is De Bruyne, spent force, gone at the end of the season. One of the best midfielders the Premier League has ever seen. I now guarantee you that you will never, ever hear this at Anfield, ever. 30 seconds into the game today, you heard City fans singing about Gerrard. It's like living rent-free in your head. How pathetic do you have to be that 30 seconds into a game where you were actually, you started really well, and they're singing about Steven Gerrard. It's like, you're that plastic. You're that.
I mean, at least they were still in the stadium at that point, Kev, because come the final 30 seconds of the game, the place is virtually empty. But we will get on.
At least it was the final 30 seconds, not the final 10 minutes.
Well, that's a good point. But we
somebody else did that.
We will get back to what the Etihad sounded like in the final few minutes of the game. Just before we get on to the first goal, Kev mentioned about Kevin De Bruyne. When he went off for McAtee in the 65th minute, I wrote down, "So long, old man. You were great," because he was great and he's just not anymore. And it's kind of sad to see that this is how his career, because That's not the Kevin De Bruyne we know. His hair still looks fantastic and commercial ready, but he's not got it left anymore. But a great player in the Premier League. Chris, I got to skip you over because we're going to talk about the first goal, and the first goal has to go to Ashley because Ashley, how do you like them corners, baby?
I'm so excited. You know what? I mentioned earlier that we saw some glimpses in the Villa game. Our first corner in the Villa game was really quite good. And this corner routine was so good. It was so refreshing. It's something we haven't seen before. Keeping the ball low and on the ground, getting it into the penalty box. Like it was just so well orchestrated. And it's not a lot of time to, create a corner routine. If you're going to create one, make one that's really good. And this one was really, really good.
Yeah, it's the type of corner routine that you probably only get the chance to do once, and you have to make it count. And Chris, it comes from in the buildup. I said into at least one or two chat groups that I'm in that with their defensive back four, which was Rico Lewis, Kusanov, Ake, and Gvardiol, that we're going to be able to cause a mistake out of them in the first 10, 15 minutes of this game. And it's entirely down to whether we can capitalize on that. And we forced a turnover out of them in the first 70 seconds of the game. And Curtis Jones didn't quite use it. But the lead up to the corner is another forced turnover from Liverpool pressing well with just four players. Szoboszlai, Jones, Diaz, and Salah are doing enough to cause a turnover from the Man City backline. It ends with the corner. And then the Jolyon Lescott, I'll give him some credit, at halftime on the international feed was pointing out how we used four players to basically pin off and block 7 or 8 of the Man City players and leave Mo Salah, of all players, in an acre space. Beautiful. Who's the set piece coach, Chris?
His name's Aaron Briggs. He's I actually looked it up. We have a part-time set piece coach. We do not have a full-time set piece coach. His name is Aaron Briggs. I have no idea what he looks like, and it should stay that way.
He's been watching Bournemouth because that's one of Bournemouth's routines.
I think someone in the chat said that was someone said that was Bournemouth against Arsenal and they beat Arsenal. I think they did a very similar routine. I mean, when you watch the replay, Mo Salah does the very good impression of not being interested and then last minute runs. But the pass, it's all about the pass by Szoboszlai. It's a great disguised pass and it's pinpoint accurate. And
great touch.
Sure, once we 1-0 up, that took all the nerves out of the game. Because I thought, right, now we can pick them off because Rico Lewis, I think he's a modern fullback. He's good going forward. Defensively, I think he can be got at. I think the new centre-back they've got, he might turn to be a very good centre, but at the moment, you can tell he's still learning the league and learning the pace of the league, and that was catching him out. And Liverpool seemed to be okay with him having the ball. It almost felt that was the tactic, which was we pinned certain players, and when he had the ball, we all backed off and go on then, hurt us. Yeah. It was Slot done his homework. He knew which players were less likely to hurt Liverpool and said, well, we'll let them have the ball because whatever they're going to produce isn't going to do anything. And as long as we do our jobs, we'll be fine. I'm not Mo Salah, just keeps going. As that actually, I'm sure has got stats on this. I'm sure it's like 8th consecutive away game he scored.
Like 18 different stats that I've thrown in.
I'm pretty certain
that Mo Salah has broken. It's actually insane.
All right, well, let's run.
Mo Salah's actually broken his own record. That's what he's doing.
Yes,
Mo Salah's just breaking Mo Salah records. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that was Ashley that said in our little chat that it's becoming like Mo Salah Inception, where he can only break his own records going forward. I mean, it's kind of like watching LeBron James play basketball. Every night he breaks the record for most ever career points because he's away at the top. That's what happens. So here are some of those delectable stats. Mo Salah is the first player in Europe's top 5 leagues to be directly involved in 50 goals across all competitions in 24-25. And just a disclaimer, this is a list of Mo Salah records tonight. It's long. I would forgive that spelling mistake.
Autocorrect is a really fun thing on here, guys.
He is the first player in Premier League history to score and assist in both games against the reigning champions in a season. He's provided more assists in 24-25 than any other Liverpool player has in a single Premier League campaign. Just outrageous. He's the first player to score 25-plus and register 15-plus assists in a Premier League season, and 41 goal involvements in 24-25 in just 27 appearances. The Premier League record is 47. He has both the most goals, 9, and most assists, 6, of any player against sides managed by Pep Guardiola in the top flight over his managerial career. And Kev, That's the best player in the world right now. I don't want to hear anybody try to argue that. At this current moment in time, the best player in the world wears number 11 in the most beautiful shade of red you've ever seen, and he's going to carry us to a league title, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as long as he stays fit and healthy, I think Ashley put a quote in, and we'll get to it later. It's he was asked, was it your first season or this season is your best season for the club? And he said it's this season. He's the more complete player than he ever was. He's as complete now, I think, as he ever will be. The number of assists is frightening because he gets all the credit for the goals, and he's scored more. He's scored more in the past, but no one gets anywhere near close to the amount of assists, and the other players around him are all benefiting from it. It's massive. He's the only thing that stops him winning a Ballon d'Or is if a French club win the Champions League. That's the only thing that stops him winning.
I like how you say a French club, like it's going to be Rennes or Marseille or something like that.
If PSG go on,
I don't know if Leon is going to come for that surprise.
If PSG knock us out and go on to win the Champions League, Ousmane Dembele they'll be screaming for Ousmane Dembele to get it. But
why? Does he have 50 goal involvements this season?
Ballon d'Or is the clues in the name.
I know. I know.
But yeah, he's as good as this version of Mo Salah. This iteration of Mo Salah is as good a player as I've ever seen playing for Liverpool. I'm 52 years of age. He's as good as anything I've ever seen playing for Liverpool.
I think Slot's made him better. I mean, that's to take nothing away from Salah's individual achievements and willingness to work hard. But I think the way that Slot has tweaked the system to allow him at the age he's at, because he's not a young guy. His pace isn't still there, but he's able to, kind of wait it out for those strategic moments and then turn it on. And the way that we are using him as a weapon in this team, I think comes down to Slot.
Yeah, it really does seem like it was hard to imagine that a manager would be able to get any more out of Mo Salah than Jurgen Klopp did, because what a run that was for 7-8 years. But it's hard to argue with the point that you're making there. Anthony Late pointing out Mo's being able to rest more by playing fewer international games in the last year. Bob Paddock agreeing with Kev, saying basically we have to win the Champions League for Mo Salah to have a shot at the Ballon d'Or. But I mean, yeah. It's Davey T, who is our new friend from up on Tyneside, says, who cares about the Balloon d'Or? We all know Sal's the best in the world at the moment. And nervy one today for you there, Davey, but that's a good result. Chris, something that happens between the goals that I'm a very, very big fan of, and it showed for the rest of the match, was shortly after we scored, Savinho was trying to take a run at Robertson, and Luis Diaz comes back and just provides that extra man there. Savinho ends up stumbling over the ball. It goes out for a goal kick. And then a couple minutes later, it's Mo Salah that's back to help out against Jeremy Doku and Marmoush that are doubling up on Trent's side. And that Doku versus Trent battle is going to be one of the narratives that comes out of this, because, oh, geez, Chris, Doku just absolutely had Trent on toast today. He was killing him. He was absolutely killing him, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, that'll be the conversation. And obviously, people who don't like Trent because he's not signed his new contract will also use that as an excuse. It felt after a while Liverpool's tactic was, we're going to give up the width, and I've always said to Trent, you're going to be left 1-on-1. Just hold him up as best you can, because by the time he gets it onto his left foot to cross it in, we'll have everyone back, and Doku's left foot is rubbish. The few times he got it in on his right, that's when he had some danger. So after a while, it felt like a tactic. I mean, look, that's the first 90 Trent's done in, I'm not quite sure the last time he did 90. It's a while since he's done 90.
It's before his injury.
Yeah, sure. So to be fair to it, he ran his bollocks off and, was given a tough task and stuck to it. That's all you need him to do. But as a team effort, I thought Salah and Gravenberch did really well to get over there quickly. And then when he did get across in, Konate just kept heading everything away. I mean, Konate and Van Dijk today were ridiculously immense today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Look,
when we come through the second half, Kev, we're going to have to talk about it. But I mean, getting the second goal, because a 1-goal lead, Man City have talent. There's no way you build a team that they've built and win 4 straight Premier League titles without having some offensive threat. And the second goal comes from Mo Salah, but it also comes from the much maligned defensively Trent Alexander-Arnold doing the thing that Trent does better than anybody, which is the vision of passing. And he chips that ball over the top, and it's brilliant work from Szoboszlai to not get involved because he knows he's offside.
Yeah,
it was. And then Mo dangles Gvardiol, who is a €100 million defender. But this, like, are we gonna hear choruses in the media about how Gvardiol can't defend because Mo made him look like a fool?
Look, at the end of the day, Jeremy Doku did have Trent on toast. He did. There's no point in saying he didn't. His final ball and his ability to pick his head up and pick a pass is terrible. If he could fix that part of his game, his dribbling ability is right up there. Is as good as anybody at going past the player. And he'll do that to plenty of right backs. He'll do that to the best right backs. So Trent did not have a good day defensively. The other side of the game, Trent today was very good. His passing, his long-range passing. There was some pick-outs that he played for Salah were really, really good. Got cut out a couple of times, but that's that's going to happen. You look at who you're playing against. But his pick-out pass for the second goal, the late run, and the composure from Szoboszlai to slot it, because that's what he did. He made, when the ball came across to him, he played the touch with his left foot just to take it out of his feet just enough to be able to get a shot off. My biggest worry was Jones was possibly in line with Ederson because he was offside. And when you see the angle from behind the goal, he wasn't. So that's why I think the VAR check was a little bit longer, because they wanted to see if Jones was directly in line. He wasn't. It was a really good finish. But about 5 minutes before that, they had a goal. They had a ball in the back of the net. Offside, hell of a finish.
Hell of a finish.
But that was the warning sign that they had that in their locker. If they could time that run, that late run into the box, that they could get in as well. So the relief from them scoring and it being offside to 5 minutes later, us making it 2-0, and then going back into our shape again and saying, we'll just carry on doing what we're doing. Thank you very much. We're quite comfortable doing this. We're actually confident in our ability to do this. And after the first 10 minutes, you saw it with McAllister had the least touches of anyone in the game. McAllister man-marked Phil Foden from about the 10th minute on, because Slot shouted on to Virgil to follow Foden in, and Foden went really deep one time, and there was acres of space in behind, and you could see Savinho making angles to look for that run. He cut that out straight away. Virgil stayed back, and McAllister man-marked Foden from then on. And an incredibly disciplined performance from Alexis McAllister, because 2 years ago, he was playing as a 10/9.5 for Brighton before he came to us. He's come in as an 8, then he's played as a 6, and now he's playing as a man marker. World class. He's world class.
Yes, it really reminds me of the last show I was on, where there were some people that weren't quite sure what the point of Alexis McAllister was, that perhaps he should be sold, or he was at best a squad player. And I would say the only team in which Alexis McAllister on current form is a squad player is maybe a Real Madrid that has prime Cruz, Modric, and Casemiro in it, because he's just excellent. The number, like 3 or 4 times he pops up in the box when Doku, beat Trent on our touchline and tried to put the ball in. If it managed to get by Kanate, Alexis McAllister was there to cut it right out. Where is that stat? It's the Beardo pointing out, for all his huffing and puffing, Doku just created 0.1 expected assists. Yeah. It's more of an eye test thing, but the numbers aren't favorable for Doku. And I mean, Ashley, if you're not blinded by the Trent can't defend narrative poison that has permeated the soccer media for the last fair few years, like, it's something that Chris and I were talking about before you guys joined us and we came live, was like, it seemed like we were happy for Doku to beat Trent. Like somebody pointed out that Doku beat Trent more than any forward has beat any defender 1v1 in the league this season.
And he did nothing with it.
He created nothing.
He did nothing with it. You know, and it's funny because they interviewed him post-match and, you know, he was asked specifically on his duel with Trent Alexander-Arnold and how City wasn't able to build on it. And he basically said, it's a good question because I passed him a lot of times, but then it was the final pass, or I don't know. The most important thing after passing is to create something from it. And I played some good balls in front of goal that we had to score. We have to analyze the game and see what I can do better and what we can do better as a team. So he thought he did a really great job, but
I can't remember him putting one pass in that where it was dangerous.
First of all, I can't remember the dangerous cross that he's speaking of. Second of all, I think that Slot was absolutely fine with that happening. I think if you can get the ball to Doku and let him have it, he has so little end product that it's almost like a time killing exercise if it's over there. It's fine if Slot, you know, it's fine if Slot wants him to have the ball. I mean, I do think there were times where, you know, it was very clear that he had the pace to get past Trent, but you know, you saw Gravenberch coming back in there. You saw Endo at the end of the game coming back in there. He needed help, but even when he got past him, it wasn't like I was quaking in my boots. I was like, you know, whatever. He's just going to put in like a, you know, sort of subpar cross and Konate's just going to cut it the fuck out because Konate and Virgil today were absolutely superb.
They were the best center. The best center half pairing in the world. Now, I can't claim that I'm watching a lot of Serie A or Bundesliga or anything like that, but in the Premier League, there's no argument that those two are the best because we know the level that Virgil sets, and Ibu Konate is matching him or surpassing him in certain games. And today was one of those games. Just before we get to halftime, I don't know if anybody remembers, it was 2 minutes into added on time at the end of the first half. Kevin De Bruyne picks the ball up at the edge of our box. Can somebody tell me whether it was a shot or a cross? Because all I know is it went out for a throw-in, and that always makes me laugh. But it was so sad. Because
I think it was a cross, but he just got completely wrong. Yeah, it sort of summed City up in that first half, to be honest.
Yes, that's it. It did. We get to halftime. I got to double back here. John R. gave us a £5 super chat. It didn't have anything in there, but then he doubled back to say that what he wanted to say is that John R. is happy as a pig in shit to be doing the league double over Man City this year. And you could not be more.
2016.
Yeah.
First time that we've gotten the league double over them.
There you go. It's been a series of losses and at best draws in the league that we've gotten out of the Etihad. And given the timing of the game, the makeup of the table, the result from yesterday, just absolutely perfect. Chris, you got that other one?
Yeah. So apologies, Xavier sent us a $5 super chat, €5 super chat on the last show, and I missed it. So, but I've got a screenshot of it. So he put, "Hey there, if Darwin is sold, what do you think about Gyökeres?" And he's put, "Greetings from Portugal."
I mean, we can take a slight detour here because we did miss this.
It was my fault. I missed the super chat.
Well, what's your thought on Gyökeres, Chris?
He looks a good player. I don't see Liverpool going for him because he's 27, is he?
28.
28. So I think if Liverpool are going to go for a striker, I think they're going to go for trying to go someone who's a level up on him and who's younger. He looks a good player though, but I'm also a bit wary now because the last guy looked really good for Portugal hasn't quite worked out.
Well,
so
I guess the other
you
part
have that fear a little bit.
I think we're all going to have that fear from now on.
The other part of the question, Chris, is do you think Darwin gets sold in the summer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same
questions to you.
I think it's a matter of when, isn't it?
You think Darwin goes in the summer, and what's your thoughts on Gyökeres?
Gyökeres is a brilliant lone striker. Knows his game inside out. Really big, strong, powerful. Chris Wood would probably physically be the closest to him in the Premier League. He's physically that kind of stature of a man. He's quick. He's quick over the ground. He covers the ground really well. He can finish left or right. He's very good in the air. I would be gobsmacked if we're interested in it. he just doesn't. I don't think he suits the type of club that we're trying to evolve into. Saying that, I think that is the type of lone man, not target man, but that lone striker. I think is what we'll probably be trying to get at. Whether it's probably someone who's better with their feet, someone who can link play a little bit better. But yeah, Gorka is serious player. Even when he was at Coventry, I remember Shawnee talking about him because he watched Coventry a lot. He was really impressed. He always said he was way too good for the championship. Went off to Portugal and he's flying it there. But yeah, I think he's exceptional. I just wanted to mention something because I put it into the group before we came on. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to get it back up 1 sec. It was Paul Gorst after the game. Darwin got huge ovation from the traveling fans when he was doing his warm down after the game. Standing ovation, really big ovation for him after the game. I think he's definitely going to be sold in the summer, but I don't think he'll be the only one. I think this summer, we'll get back to it in a bit. Summer. I think this summer is going to be transformative. I think we'll do this kind of summer once every 3 or 4 years where we'll have a really big blowout and then we'll take over for a few years. I think that this summer is going to be a big summer.
Rebuild?
I think
it's going to be a rebuild. I think it's going to be like a very strategic strengthening of what we've got.
I think it's going to be a complete rebuild.
Well, I'll come to you on it quick, Ashley, and then we can get back into the second half of the game. Darwin Núñez, in or out? Thoughts on Gyökeres?
I think Núñez goes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jota go either. I think Slot came out the other day. He said, we have a really good idea about our summer plans. He said, I'm not going to tell you which positions we prefer, but it's clear that we've assessed the squad, where we improve, and that's where we go for in the summer. So he knows what players. He's had almost a whole year now to work with those players, assess them, see how they work within his system. And I think that there's going to be a major culling of players that are, what we maybe consider deadwood, or players that maybe aren't even deadwood that just don't fit within the system. There may be a few favorites that get cut here. But I think what's going to happen this year is we're going to see, I know everyone hates on Hughes, but I think what we're going to see is Hughes flex his muscles. I think we're going to see some really clever signings coming from places that we don't expect. I think we are going to see the same sort of squad building that we've seen at Bournemouth, where it's like, oh my God, where did they pluck that guy from? And I think that it's going to be very specific to fit Slot's system. And I wouldn't be surprised if we look at it. I don't think it's going to be big names necessarily. There might be one in there, but I think we're going to look at it and be like, wow, this is going to, this was such a well thought out plan. I hope.
Yeah, well, that is the hope. And I mean, it's left our good friend, impronounceable first name McGlinchey here, naming off either books of the Bible or Bob Marley songs. I'm not entirely sure what he's going for there. We're at halftime. Before we get into the second half, which is going to be, I think, just a delight to talk about because of what a strange half of football it was for Liverpool Football Club. Just a reminder to everybody, we've got our two charity partners, which is Fan Supporting Food Banks in Liverpool, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. You'll find the GoFundMe link in the show description on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, however you watch your shows. If you can help us out getting to our fundraising target, that would be absolutely fantastic. And the other news is, of course, on the 18th of March, we'll be making the shift over from YouTube memberships to a Patreon-based membership system. If you want to get involved in that, get a hold, Talkin Kop, @gmail.com. Get a hold of Gav if you have any questions there. Get involved in our Telegram chat. Lots of people in there to help answer the questions for you. But lots of good things coming on the Patreon. For instance, the Final 20 show we did yesterday, which I don't know, Kevin, Ashley, if we'll ever have a better day of doing a show.
That was so great, guys.
That was great fun, watching you guys.
It was so good. If you're not a member, it was worth the membership alone, just to kind of be involved in that. I think you can go onto Patreon as a free member and rewatch that show sort of as like a teaser to see if it's something that you're interested in. So if you are not a current Patreon member, or if you're not a current member on YouTube, check that out and see if it's something you're interested in, because we have a whole kind of new set of shows planned and we are super excited about it. So any feedback that you have on that particular show from yesterday, super welcome. But yeah, just I don't know. I hope you guys are as excited as we are about going forward with this kind of new development.
Yeah, it's as long as it turns out Patreon sucks as much as YouTube. As long as that doesn't happen, I think
I
it's
don't think they
going to
take as much money as YouTube, so I think
well,
it'll be fine.
they certainly don't do that. But if we're able to do some of the fun things that we've got planned, it should be a real riot. Kev, I mean, we can talk about the second half kind of as a whole, because it feels like the most unique halftime change that Arne Slot has made, because we've done a lot of shows talking about how Arne Slot got the team in at halftime, changed things around, and we came out and we did something to win the game in the second half. We didn't need to do that here. And Arne Slot went into the dressing room at halftime and changed it around to effectively, we parked the fucking bus in the second half, Kev.
Yeah, we became everything that we hate. You know, it was literally that.
Evertonians?
Yeah, we literally, and yeah, but the thing was, once you got through the first 5 minutes, of the second half, we started to get more into it. We started to get a bit more control, a bit more possession in better areas. We just managed the whole thing so well. I mean, I was always nervous because 2-0 is a horrible scoreline, because all it takes is one. You get one, they get one, and the place goes up, and then the pressure is really on. There was never anything really that you looked at that we showed any sign of nerves, you know, and that in itself is so refreshing. There was no sign of nerves. It was just literally everyone knew their job. Everyone was really disciplined. The tracking back was brilliant. Salah coming back, helping Trenta in the second half was much better. Diaz on the other side doing the same. The system that we played, very similar to what Arsenal did to us. Do you remember? We played Arsenal, and they played those two number 10s central, and they played the two wingers high and wide. We were very similar to that. Kind of like, okay, we knew we weren't going to dominate the ball, so we're in a 4-4-2 shape. Just be disciplined in that shape. And we were right the way through the second half. It was literally a case of, how are City going to do anything about this? And the longer it went on, the less effective they got, and the more confident we got in what we were trying to do. And it was only a matter of time before the legs started. You know, they started to get tired, and they started to get frustrated and force passes, and we just mopped all that up. I cannot tell you how good and refreshing it was to watch that kind of performance, because you just don't see it that often from us. You know,
it's also good to know it's also good to know we can do that, because I think that type of setup and performance is going to be needed. I think in Champions League, like PSG away, that sort of setup is probably ideal for PSG away. You know, to stifle them and make it difficult. You know, and then you play a more expansive style, perhaps when you're at home. So that could also be a way of Liverpool, a different string to our bow.
Yeah, it can evolve too. That Slot can evolve, you know. And we've talked a few times about, you know, the Feyenoord fans being like, just you guys wait, like the second half of the season's better. And I want to say maybe the last 2 weeks we've been like, are you sure? Like, are you sure it's better? This felt better. Like, this felt like a different gear that we haven't seen. I don't know if it was like a higher gear than what we've seen, but it was a different gear. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's Ashley brought up a quote from Pep Guardiola. It says, second half, they defended very deep. We have done something we have not tried for many games, which was we brought them to their box and tried to beat them there. And you fucking failed at it, Pep.
Tried being the important word there.
Well, it got to the point where we seemed happy with them passing the ball in that umbrella that's about 6-10 yards outside of our D area. Like, Nico Gonzalez got the ball onto his right foot a lot of times, and he had 3-4 yards of space, and it looked like he could take a shot if he wanted to, but instead they put it out to the right-hand side. And anytime they tried to bring anything into the middle, Ashley, you nailed it. Konate and Van Dijk just nope, out, gone.
Brick wall. Like the most solidly built brick wall that we have seen all season. And also, Allison, clean sheet. Fantastic. I wasn't expecting a clean sheet here. Kev correctly predicted 2-0. So credit where credit is due.
Kev, you're on a roll, 2 for 2.
I know.
Yeah,
so let's just go with Kev for all of these game predictions. But yeah, like they looked like they enjoyed defending. And they say that a lot as a cliche, like, you know, sometimes a team enjoys defending, but this felt like, and we've said, you know, we need to bring the clean sheets back. We need to have the players come back. It felt like it wasn't just Konate and Virgil. It was everybody coming back. It was the entire midfield that was flooding our box, defending in a way that just felt like they were proud to do it, and that they knew that that was like the hard work that was needed. And it, you know, whether or not that was parking the bus, you know, call it what you want. It was really fucking effective today. So I'll take it.
I think we've got back to enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a feature of the first half season was we'd have those sort of defensive performances, and it looked like they enjoyed it. And it's almost like they've gone back to being a bit more serious, you know, and just like we need to just
needed to do
serious it. Grind this out. You got to just, you know, I know it's a phrase of the season, be humble, but it is a little bit of that, you know, except you're going to give the ball, except you're going to not have much of the ball, but be effective when you have it. You know, you have to do that sometimes.
Here's the thing, right? I've got the notes here from the highlights of the game. The last major highlight of the game was on 63 minutes. Diaz cut inside and had a shot, and it was a photo
Hollywood
save,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Hollywood save. But other than that, we didn't do anything else.
Oh, I
they didn't do anything else.
I thought the substitution was a bit later. You know, the one where they're defending against a really good block. It's a good block.
Yeah, but it's like other than, you know, it was nothing. It was like we just managed that game so well.
I think I said to Matt before we came on, I said, I have to be honest, Matt, I said, the last 20 minutes was probably a little bit boring. I said, but I'm all right with that. I said, because I never thought I'd be saying, oh, yes, you know, City away, the last 20 minutes we won, but it was really boring. We didn't do much. It's quite a nice rare occasion to have.
Davey, you're bringing back the bad old day. I'll tell you what, Davey, Davey's talking about the tippy-tappy football has had its day, and the big Jack Charlton days are coming back.
Oh, God.
Do I not like that?
It's not like it's a new thing for Liverpool to play this way, because let's be honest, you know, I adored them as managers, but Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez played very defensive football.
Yeah,
we loved them for what they won for us, but, you know, it was never entertaining. But football, it's both sides of the game, and I think that's where people have to understand. The best sides can do both.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk substitutions, Chris, because I think there's something to be said for both teams' substitutions. I mean, obviously De Bruyne has to go off because he literally just cannot move around anymore, and it's just getting sad. But
I must admit, I thought McAtee going on was a bit of a worry. I thought, actually, he's a man in form and does like a goal. So I thought,
he's got like 5 in his last 8 at the moment.
So this could be a different prospect.
A hat trick, which granted was against an FA Cup game, but yeah. He was in form.
You're not playing Dagenham and Redbridge anymore.
That's what I thought he might give him something different, but he didn't see him in the game, to be fair to him.
No.
But Slot brings Endo and Tsimikas on for Jones and Robertson after 72 minutes, which is a little earlier than we've seen Endo come on in the past. And Chris, I think that smacks Arne Slot having realized he's my guy. This is my shutdown guy.
I absolutely adore Endo. He's just the perfect squad player. You bring him on whenever you need him. He never lets you down. I think somebody had the stats before. I don't think he missed a tackle. You know, Kev was pointing out in the game to us, you know, at times he was playing third centre back, and then he put Doku on his arse about 3 times. You know, he put some big late tackles in, and, you know, he just does the simple things as a defensive player really well. And it allowed us to play McAllister a bit higher up to free him up a little bit. And it gave Gravenberch a little bit of support as well. I just think he is the ideal person to shut games out. He is the new James Milner.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest compliment you could pay to him, because that's all you want him to do. And yeah, I was made up with Endo. He just came on, did his job, and made life a lot easier for everyone.
Well, he picked up the baton and went straight in on Phil Foden and just tracked him. He just tracked him everywhere. There were times in that when we were defending our final third where he drops in and makes it a back five. And when he's not needed, he just goes out into midfield again and just does his job. He's literally just like a wind-up bunny. You just wind him up and tell him, point him in the right direction, just do your shit, you know. You go do what you do.
I love that. He's like Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, he's exactly like Scrappy Doo.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant way of describing him.
Well, I'll say Scrappy Doo because I didn't watch a lot of Scooby and Scrappy when because that's a bit before my time. Them. But in the 86th minute, I mean, Scrappy Doo must have some incredible defensive foresight because he's kind of marking Kovacic on the right-hand side of our box, and Kovacic plays a little 1-2, I think, with Foden maybe. And he looks to be getting the ball back in a dangerous position, Kev. And Endo is exactly where you would, if you had the omnipotent power of a god to put a defender, that's exactly where Endo was.
You have to have that kind of player in your squad. You have to. You can't have a squad filled with 50, 60 million pound players. They're lovely. They're great looking players. They're gorgeous specimens of humanity. And then they don't do the ugly shit. You know, having someone like Endo with his level of experience, his know-how, his ability to do the basics really well. And that's his job. Even I've watched some highlights before we signed him. I watched some highlights of him playing for Japan. And he is exactly the same. He just gets around the middle of the park. He bosses the ball. He tells people what to do and where to go. And he just marshals the middle of the pitch. He loves defending. And having a player in your squad who can come on for 20 minutes and shut a game out, they're gold dust. You look around Europe, those level of players are either aging or their hearts aren't in it or they don't like doing it. You know, I look at squads up and down this league and they don't have that type of player ain't around that much. And I love the bones of the man. I think you have to have players like that in your squad. He will play a very important role in the second half of the season because there will come times where he'll have to come on and do 60. Come on and start a game, take the pressure off someone, and just be used and do a job. He's brilliant. I absolutely love him.
Yeah, it's there's an unbelievable outpouring of love for Endo in the chat, or the dyslexic polyglot saying, I need a buddy cop movie with Endo and Milner, and Dan Austin coming back saying, absolutely, someone's stolen a shipment of Yorkshire tea. Call Endo and Millie.
I
would watch that.
I'd pay for that. I'd absolutely pay for that. Question though, when was the last time City played us and didn't use Bernardo Silva?
That was a weird one.
Unless he was injured or suspended, I can't think of it.
He wasn't fit. But I feel like he's always been a thorn in our side. I hate him.
Yeah.
I genuinely hate him.
Yeah.
I think if he played for Liverpool, I'd love him too. I would absolutely love him because he's a pure rat. He's a horrible player. He gets in your face. He's snide. He's everything in a footballer that.
He's one of the few players that can wind Salah up, which says a lot.
Yeah. He's one of these players when they go at the end of the season, right? And we look back on their careers, he's phenomenal. As a footballer, as a standalone footballer, he is phenomenal. Every opposition fan hates him with a passion. Every single, we all do, and he's earned that hate, and he wears that hate with a badge of honor. He loves it.
I think we all, as Liverpool fans, need to recognize that that's Andy Robertson.
Definitely.
He's our little shithouse. It's
I don't think any non-Liverpool fan doesn't despise Andy Robertson, and
especially the Ev.
Just a shove in the back of Messi's head.
I think Jota's
can also be that guy.
Yeah,
when he's fit,
Pep today thought that Robertson threw an elbow at Savinho.
That was bullshit.
I know it was. I know it was.
Bullshit.
I know it was, but that is just typical Pep trying to gain an advantage and trying to get in the ref in the ref's eye line or whatever.
At most.
Yeah, exactly. But Robertson is a pure shithouse, and he's another one. Had a really good day today as well.
Yeah, he did.
Really good game. Really solid.
And Savinho's no slouch. Playing against Savinho is a hard task.
He's getting better.
He's something of a slouch.
No, he's getting better.
I think he, he's a challenging winger to play against. I think, I don't know if he's like the goal threat that, we think he might be, but it's not like Robbo had a day off today. He worked hard.
No, that's
Robbo's had to do a lot of back-to-backs as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, Ashley, I'm going to come to you on it because, Kev's talking about Pep Guardiola and the changes. And this was the other part of the substitutions I wanted to ask about because I didn't quite understand it is they make a raft of substitutions on 77 minutes. They take off Ake, Nico Gonzalez, and Omar Marmoush and bring on Ruben the Sandwich, Gundogan, and Kovacic, and now do not have a center forward on the pitch. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, Pep doesn't know what to do. To me, that's what that screamed was like, Pep doesn't know what to do. I know he doesn't actually have another forward on the pitch, but I didn't understand why he didn't leave Marmoush on the pitch because he did look the most dangerous of City's players. But at that point, it just looked like Pep Guardiola was throwing shit at the wall and hoping something stuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he was saving him for bigger tasks. Maybe he saw that the game was finished. Like, I don't see that like looking back at the game, there wasn't really anything that Ali had to like dramatically save. I don't think they worked him particularly hard. It was a whole bunch of, it was a lot of possession in and around the box without a lot of penetration and without a lot of actual danger. And I think that, I don't know if Haaland would have helped, especially in the form that Virgil and Konate were in today. I think they probably would have just, kept him quite quiet. I think Marky is right. I think he gave up. I think, he's saving Marmoush for games that he thinks he can win because this game felt so shut down and so locked down from the back that, I don't know, it was like we were kind of, like the bully that just kind of like holds the person at arm's length. You're like, you can kick and scream and do all you want. That's what it felt like today.
Yeah. Well, I can understand the saving him because they've got big Champions League games coming up. Ooh. Oh, no, sorry.
They've got Plymouth. I mean, they've got the mighty Plymouth who knocked us out. So, that's all City got to aim for now is the FA Cup.
Yes. And because I'm hosting and I get to read out things that make me laugh, John Jones asking, can everyone finally admit that KDB is ginger and has tangerine candy floss pubes? I don't know, John. Maybe you can admit that. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah. Paul Giovanni bring up City fans going mad about the Simicast back pass. The most sliced clearance you've ever seen in your life. Oh my God.
That was not, like, a back pass needs to be controlled first and foremost. So, like, that is the element of the back pass. Simicast, like, shot that thing up to the moon.
Simicast, Gary Neville called it right, which is rare for Gary Neville. Said Simicast panicked because he misread the flight of the ball. Went, oh shit, I'll get something on it, and he just shanked it in the air. Luckily, it just fell to Alisson.
But what was
City
funny?
Fans are generally going mad that that's a back pass.
Definitely thought about it, and he was like, "Should I head this out? Can I catch this? I'm not sure if I can catch this."
Ali was going, "Should I do keep you up and take the pace?" And I thought, "Nah, best not."
Yeah, it's a Cruyff turn. A Cruyff turn was coming in the box there.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Yeah, I think a little bit of shout out needs to be given to Jarrell Kwanzaa. Comes on with just the injury time added on, filling it Trent at right back. I mean, Trent had a tough day. Looked like he might be feeling a little something. He's our only right back, so we do need to protect him. And I thought Kwanzaa did good for what he did. At one point, he intercepted the ball and took off on what was about to be a mat tip. And then he got to the halfway line and realized the game state and was like, I'm just going to go back.
What I would say to Kwanzaa, to give him credit, I think we're going through at the moment, we're going like, who does Slot trust and who doesn't he trust? And there's clearly some players at the moment he's not trusting to give much game time to. I think Kwanzaa has re-earned the manager's trust with his last couple of performances, especially the Wolves one. I think that's how quickly it can change. So there are players at the moment like Elliott and Nunez at the moment, it's not going for him. But I think it can turn very quickly for a player. I think Kwanzaa some players should use that as the example of, wasn't bombed out, but he clearly wasn't trusted for a bit because he was going through a difficult spell. Came in, did a couple of good performances, and now he's back in the thinkings of like, oh yeah, I'll throw you in against City now, then no problem.
Yeah.
Plus, I think he's got no choice. I mean, look,
he's got no choice, but there are other ways that he could have done it.
Really highly of him, like he did go out of his way in one of the post matches or pre matches, I'm not sure, and speak about how Kwanzaa looks like the Kwanzaa of old. Like that was his direct quote, where he looks like the Kwanzaa that he saw in preseason. So something has changed in training that Slot has
physically I think he's physically looks leaner. I think he looks like he's
like I was looking at Ali today. He looks like he's about I don't know what it is in stone, but he looks like he's about 15 to 20 pounds leaner.
Yeah. He's definitely laying off the barbecue. Virgil looks slimmer as well.
I think when I was reading about, the past and what Slot was known for was less weights and more kind of lean muscle mass and really focusing in on that. It does seem like that you're starting to see that. We're about 8 months into the whole project. Like I think you're starting to see that in their body composition.
Yeah, that's probably where they have the coffee shop, because apparently the social side of it for the players was they'd hit the gym together.
That's true.
And socialize in the gym. True. So this is kind of, I know it was made a joke of Liverpool coffee shop, but maybe that was the way they did it, which was like, well, instead of going to the gym, lads, because we don't need to build any more mass on, this is your socialize opportunity. So still the team bonding thing, but we just don't want to, you to get too big.
Just a hookah bar in the AXA for all the players to lie around on pillows.
I don't know if that would be allowed.
No, that doesn't work.
Maybe in years past.
I'm going to run through some of these quotes here, and then when I'm done with this, I'll come to you guys all and get your man of the match, honorable mention, and should do betters. But Ashley has piled in the starred chats here.
There's a lot of quotes and a lot of.
He's making up for that good of someone, isn't he?
Yeah, he missed one game. So Mo Salah after the game, he says, "It is special, especially when you're in the title race. It's incredible. They won 4 in a row titles. Hopefully we keep calm. Sometimes the pressure gets to us. We have to keep calm." On if this is better than his first season, Mo says, "It's opinion. Maybe people prefer my first season. I prefer now." Mo goes on to say, "We need to win another league, me and the big guys in this team." A few more Mo Salah stats here because it's just an outrageous number of stats. First player in Europe's top 5 leagues to be directly involved. I think I might have read that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did read that one. There was one in here that I missed, though.
So many of them. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Here's one that I missed, which is Mo has scored and assisted in 11 Premier League games this season, the most by a player in a single season in one of Europe's Big 5 leagues since Lionel Messi for Barcelona in 2014-2015 with 11. So it's always good when you can top Lionel Messi things, when you're doing things better than Messi did. That's always a good thing.
And didn't he say also the most times Eden Hazard has ever done that is 10 in his career?
Yeah.
Just for context.
He's already surpassed that in one season.
Correct.
Yeah, that's never been an argument. That was an argument.
I just like to throw it out.
It's a Twitter argument for some.
It's just a people, though, which is I quite like it.
Twitter's a cesspit, if that's even close to an argument. The Hazard Mo Salah thing should have been settled by about January of 2018. It should have been settled by then. And we're now 7 years on from that.
Things never die on the internet, apparently.
Yes.
No.
Doku on winning his duels with Trent. He says, "It's a good question because I passed him a lot of times, but it was the final pass or I don't know." More Mo Salah goodness. He led all Liverpool players today for shots on target, touches in the opposition box, chances created, dribbles, and duels won. The duels won one might be a first for Mo Salah. That's a bit strange. We now have a 20-point gap over Manchester City, so I think we can stop worrying about the inevitable movie villain coming back from the dead on us this year, at least. Arne Slot getting in some quotes because I think he's going to miss the next game, saying, "By scoring a set piece, if you want to win a big game, you need a neutral set piece balance or to score one and not concede. We kept them away from big chances because we made sure they didn't create as much as they normally do. And it is easy for us to not get excited because we know what we have to put in." Another one from Doku. He says, "To be fair, if I look at the game, I don't think they were much better than us. 2 goals, 1 set piece, and the second goal was a long ball, so well done to them. We know their qualities." That sounds like the comment of a player that is being managed by Pep Guardiola because that guy is salty as shit. Because before the game, he was in the mix zone, and the commentator asked him about injuries or something like that, and he was like, "Why don't you be the manager? Why don't you be the manager?" And it's like, holy fuck, you're a bitter, bald little shithead of a man. Arne Slot going on to say, "This result was more about defense than attack. It is normal for fan bases to be positive, and it is important to understand why we are where we are. And there is no secret. We are 11 points clear of Arsenal. We are 11 points clear. Sorry, I'm going to read that one more time because it sounds great. We are 11 points clear, but Arsenal has 1 game in hand. The best attack we had didn't end in a goal. You always have to adapt to the challenge you have." A week ago, we experienced how difficult Wolves at home was. They will always be difficult games like today. 3 days ago, we had a draw at Villa, and people told me we weren't in a good place. And then 3 days later, we win, and it changes again. Funny how that works, eh, Chris?
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. Slot saying we work every single day to achieve this, and it is 3 months of very hard work to maintain this. Ideally, we have the ball more than the other team, but City, they like it a lot and so are comfortable on the ball. The only chance you have to win here is to defend very well. And Daniel Sturridge, who, to his credit, before the game said Liverpool will be a threat from set pieces, and I believe some Ashleys laughed at him. So
I
you
just said
can,
I wanted to drink what he was drinking. That's
that's the equivalent of
I didn't
laughing at him,
laugh.
Ashley. So
And then I said I owe him
He's
a beer.
absolutely burying you there, isn't he, Ashley? Absolutely buried you there. Look at that, 2-footed and everything.
yeah, well, that's what she gets. She went in hard. But Sturridge on Mo Salah says, we're talking Ballon d'Ors now. If he doesn't get Ballon d'Or, it's getting out of hand. It's the Beardo doing a little bit of Ashley work here with some stats for Wataru Endo on his brilliant cameo. 2 out of 3 duels won, 2 out of 2 tackles won, 1 clearance, just 60 minutes played, but was so important to help us close out the game. Arne Slot, yeah, he was a chatterbox today. We defended really well with so many players around the ball. That's why we kept them from big chances. And then Slot is only the second ever Liverpool manager to complete the league double over the reigning English champions in his first season in charge of the club. The other was Bob Paisley versus Leeds in 74-75. And if we can compare Arne Slot to Bob Paisley, I am happy as a pig in shit, just like John R. is with the double we've done over City this year. Mo Salah has assisted 21 goals for Liverpool in all competitions this season, the most in a single season by any Liverpool player since King Kenny Dalglish in 84-85. A pretty good player on a pretty good team in a pretty good year. Mo has now scored 30 or more goals in 5 separate seasons for Liverpool, the joint most in Liverpool history, along with Roger Hunt and Ian Rush. Mo has now scored in 8 successive appearances for Liverpool in all competitions, the joint second longest run by any player in the club since Mo Salah, who scored in 10 straight from August to October of 2021. Arne Slot, no one saw us as a title contender when we started the season. Robertson on Mo Salah, a set-piece routine worked, which is pleasing. Everyone had a role to play, and Mo got the glory of putting it in the back of the net. Another goal and assist. More on Mo. Robbo says his work rate going back the other way was unbelievable today. Him and Lucho, and that was key to us keeping a clean sheet. He is on a different world right now and playing out of his skin. We are very happy to have him, that's for sure. Pep Guardiola saw many things with the players that this club has a bright future. Is he talking about us or them? On Liverpool, he says, I didn't see this season the Liverpool like they play most of the time. And Jamie Carragher on Mo Salah says, this is going to end up being the greatest season ever by an individual, which is high praise, but I like it. Kev, player of the game, honorable mention, could do better.
Mo Salah's man of the match. I mean, goal and assist. The amount of times he was able to get his foot in the ball and relieve pressure was brilliant. His tracking back was good, but more importantly, he's just Mr. Consistent. He's always there. The fact that he's chucking out goal and assist, game after game after game after game.
50 games.
Yeah, this ain't normal. This really, it'll tell you when you look at the records of the amount of times this has happened. This is far from normal. You know, we're so lucky to have him at the minute. So just enjoy him while he is here, because it won't go on forever, no matter what happens, even if he does extend his contract. This is a phenomenal season. And he's today again, he was just brilliant. Honorable mention. Look, you could pick it any of the 2 centre backs. I'd go for Konate. I thought Virgil was outstanding, by the way, but I thought Konate was equally as good. Strong, front-footed when he had to be, disciplined, good when taking the ball in tight situations, didn't give it away, no careless passes, nothing silly, nothing outrageous, didn't lunge, didn't give anyone an opportunity to go down. Really disciplined, top performance, and had a lot of covering to do because, look, you know, Trent had issues defensively, so he always had to be alert to the threat coming inside all the time. Could do better. No, you can say Trent defensively, but I think overall the work, the shift that everyone put in today, I don't think anyone really deserves that, to be honest. So I'm quite happy with everyone's performance today overall.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we can all feel happy unless you're being a real negative Nancy about it, and then we'll come to you on this, Chris. But I think we can all
Thanks.
leave the should do better. We can leave the should do better line blank.
He's on fire today. Actually, we'll sort him out when we come to Liverpool.
He's cutting us all down at the knees.
He's only brave because he's in Canada.
What are you gonna do about it? I got free health here. Chris, who are your nominees?
You got free healthcare. Not when you come over to England. You haven't. Kev's right. Mo Salah is man the match. Both ends of the pitch. He was immense. He was really putting a shift in the team. Honorable mention, Szoboszlai, I think that's one of his best games for Liverpool in that 10 role. But, again, the engine on him to get back and cover both fullbacks as well. So I give it, could do better. Arsenal fans and Arsenal in general. I mean, literally, they were 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go. Half a stadium pissed off. That sort of says a lot about what's going on there. And it's just funny. It's just funny, isn't it? Because Arsenal are just blowing themselves up. It's great.
Yeah, it's the Szoboszlai shout is a good one, and I thought of it when Kev was saying, you can't just have these extremely handsome-looking individuals that don't want to do the donkey's work. And I was like,
well, we've
got one that's both. Like, we've got this incredibly handsome guy that just puts all the hard yards in, because I know like Gav and Emmett and Keith that have been over to some games, and Chris, you said it as well too. Like, watching Szoboszlai play in person, you're like, holy shit, look at the yards this guy puts in. And
it's unreal when you see him in person. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's more surprising is how hairy his legs are. Ashley, who are your nominees?
What a segue.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I think we've lauded Mo Salah quite a lot. I think, he is a league unto himself when it comes to man of the match. So I agree, but I'm going to give some credit to someone else. I'm going to give credit to Virgil for creating that solidity in the back four and for getting our defense happy about defending again. Because I think that a lot of that comes from him. I think that, a lot of his messages recently have been very like rallying the troops kind of in terms of things aren't as bad as the media want us to think they are. We are solid. And I think you saw that today. I think him and Konate together just, they exemplified what we all know they are capable of. And to see that actually come off in I don't care if City is a fading force or whatever you want to call them. This was a really big fucking game. Like, we haven't won there in a very, very long time. And so to get this over the line after a string of bad performances and to get this team fighting the way that they were fighting, I think a lot of that comes down to Virgil, and I want to give him credit. I think Konate deserves the honorable mention beside him, because I think that, again, our defense was the one that was leading this. Like I said, Mo Salah, man unto himself at the top. Could do better. I think there are plenty of people that, want to see Trent pulled under the bus here. I think Trent is, he's coming back from an injury. That was his first 90 minutes in quite a long time. Like, Doku had it on toast. He sent him for the echo so many times. Like, it's very clear that was an area that he was targeting. If you want to pick someone, feel free to pick him. But I don't think that that's the message that we want to go away with today, honestly. Like, if you need to find someone to kick while you're down after a performance like that, like, give your head a wobble, because this team gave their all. But if that's something that you need to do, I'll hand you Trent, because I think that he was probably our most poor player. But honestly, this whole team came together and fought for that result, and I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, it's an incredible result all around. In fairness,
Trent had a hand in both goals, by the way. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
And what? Like, it was a risk reward thing with Trent. It always is. Like, he might not be the strongest defender, but what he lacks in defending, he more than makes up for in attacking. It's pick your poison in terms of what you want to focus on. Like, if you're going to be a glass half empty person after that result and you want to pick on his defensive performances, like, go for it. But honestly, like, we're 11 points clear. We're 20 points clear of City. If you want to pick on Trent, like, I don't know. That's a pretty pretty low place to be when this club is where it's at. Like, enjoy the fucking highs. Seriously, enjoy the highs. Like, don't look at the lows. Don't look at the glass half empty. There are so many times where this club like has suffered. This is not a suffering time. Enjoy it.
Oh, it is definitely not a suffering time. You wouldn't have known that. You wouldn't have known that from some of those, from some of the post-match reactions of some of our online fan base from the last couple of games. But these are not suffering times. Yeah, Mo Salah is your man of the match because he's Mo Salah and he is the best player in the world right now. And if anybody cannot cop to that, then they've got serious fucking problems. And there's avenues to find help for that. None of them sponsor the show anymore, so we're not going to get a mention. That in terms of honorable mention, I think I'm going to give it to McAllister. The center halves have both been lauded, and rightly so, because they were both absolutely fantastic. I just think the work that Alexis McAllister did, Kev, you pointed it out, that man marking Phil Foden out of the game. You might have been surprised to learn that Phil Foden was actually playing in this game because he was so invisible when it came around to it. But he popped up at the right moments in the box, clearing the ball out. He was that metronome again. He is such a good player. Gravenberch also had a really good game. Like, everybody played really well. But just before we wrap things up and get out of here, we do need to mention that former regular on the Monday night shows with Gav and Phil, Pete, he is at the some theater in Dublin. I don't have the particular.
He's on Vicar Street.
There we go.
Yeah, he's on Vicar Street.
You can always rely on Kev to have the geographic. He's my map quest, Kev. You're a referee and an atlas at the same time. He's at Vicar Street. The shows in May are sold out. The shows in June, the tickets are still available. I believe it's something of like a rock opera.
It's a biop of Phil Lynott, the lead singer from Thin Lizzy. Pete is playing Phil Lynott in it. There's three shows coming up that are virtually sold out. They've added 3 more shows on later in the year. The link will be in the description for it. If you're in and around Dublin at the time, I highly recommend going to see it because
Pete's excellent.
What you may or may not know, Pete can sing. He's very good.
Way better than all of us.
Oh yeah, and
that's not a high bar to be fair, but
I know,
in fairness,
he can properly sing. Yeah,
I've seen some of the clips for the show. It looks really good. It looks like it's a proper theater, proper theatrical performance. Looks like the show is going to be an absolute. And everyone loves Phil Lynott. So if you're going to want to go for a sing and a night out and loads of songs that you know, definitely well worth giving it a go.
There you go. That's Kev. You got a third role besides Ref and Atlas's hype man. You could definitely get that done. But also, Phil's in a movie called Code Red Spain. The trailer is available in the show description. Links on through Vimeo. It's such a great start. How many did you kill? I don't know. How many did you bring? And it's like, oh, Pete, you fucking badass. It's great. So,
he's so annoying. He's one of these people who can sing and act. Really annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. I know. And come on and talk about Liverpool and hold his own in head-to-heads with Phil Casey. He's a man of many talents. But if you're a longtime listener of the show and you're familiar with Pete being on, especially on the Monday night shows, like for me, it's those shows of him and Phil going with Gav trying to moderate in the background are just some excellent
stuff of legend.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant shows.
Yeah, from the history of the channel that's been put together. So if you're in Dublin and you want to support Pete doing that, and then when the movie comes out, I'm hoping we can have like a everybody reacts to it type of show where we can all watch Code Red Spain and give our reaction to it. But we're looking forward to having...
Maybe we should do that as a Patreon exclusive. Do like a watch along of
I think that sounds
film.
about right.
That could be boss.
This is incredibly niche, guys.
That sounds about right. But Ashley,
that's why it's Patreon exclusive.
You had to mention our complete lack of singing ability, and you've really sucker punched me there because I was going to see if we all wanted to just answer the question of, did you hear the song that was being sung at the Etihad tonight in injury time?
93 minutes. It started at 93 minutes. I wrote it down. I underlined it. All of it.
I've been wondering.
Heard it.
I've been wondering when it's going to happen because the last time was the first time we heard it was when Ali punted that ball up to Mo Salah and he shrugged Dan James aside like he was a terrible scarf and put it in, and Ali sprinted the length of the field to celebrate with Mo Salah with his shirt off. and the fans broke out into song of "Now You're Going to Believe Us." We're going to win the league. It feels like it actually does it not.
This felt like a big performance, and the contrast between just like 3 days in this fan base is wild. Like the way that we were feeling after Villa, the way that we were talking about points on the board for Arsenal, like they're absolutely gonna beat West Ham. No, they're fucking not. Like, no, they're not. And you know what? Wilder things have happened, and this team seized an opportunity today. Like, that's what this was. This was an opportunity to stake the claim on the title, and they did in the way that like we all wanted and hoped and wished for. And it's so nice to see the team deliver. And that song was the most appropriate way to close out that performance, because that's exactly how I felt.
Chris, are you on board with Ashley and I, or are you more a Scouser Pete type who's still too early?
Oh, I can never be a Scouser Pete. I think I text you guys at full time. Sorry, Scouser Pete. I'm only joking. I said this feels like United 1920. It just had that feel about it. We're going 11 points. I just feel like that would be too much. I feel like when we're all in Liverpool, we're going to be getting very, very drunk in May Duncan's, having a laugh, singing about the league title, and we need to get Kev. We need to get Kev to come along as well.
Yeah, I know.
We need to find a way of getting Kev there.
No, can't do it this year.
What?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Right, the truth is, I've got 3 days before you guys are in Liverpool is my youngest 21st. So I just physically
move that. Can't you reschedule her?
No, because I don't have another child to have another 21st.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just celebrate the 22nd, Kev. Who celebrates
fairness,
the 21st?
I could bring her with me, and God, no, I'm not introducing her to
that.
There is no chance I'm
friends,
introducing
that'll
her
be
to that lot. No, you have no idea what you let yourself in for. I know what you've let yourself in for. I'm not bringing my daughter to that mess.
Come
You
on
let me
now.
come along. It'll be fine.
Oh, you'll be fine. You're a big girl now. You can look after yourself. No, look, it's I've been on the train since December. I've felt that this, not that it was done. I just felt that
The gap was too
I
big.
couldn't
wasn't it?
see us losing enough games for anyone else to catch us. It's the consistency thing with me. We've just been so consistent. Even when we're not playing well, we're picking up points. And in factor in what Arsenal have suffered with injuries, and they have. Let's be truthful about it. They don't look like they can score enough goals to win games. They have a tough night against Nottingham Forest coming up, especially after the way Forest came back in their game today. They'll be buoyant about that. They still have to, there's every chance that Forest could turn Arsenal over or take points off them. We've got a tough night against Newcastle to come. The gap genuinely could open up and be a bit wider after Wednesday night. That's legitimately very possible. At the same time, it could easily close. It's we're in this situation now. I just think that everyone's going to run out of games, and even if we fell off a cliff, and even if we lost form, I think that we've got 7 home games out of our last 12 games.
7 out of 11.
The fact that we haven't lost a game away from home this year, that's what they were clinging on to. The fact that
Out of 92 teams in the English, all football, we are the only one that has not lost an away match.
Exactly. So that was Arsenal fans were clinging on today to the hope that Man City would do them a favor.
Yep.
That is the toughest away game that we will have this season and any season. Any season away at the Etihad is the hardest game to go and get something out of. The fact that we've gone there and got 3 points, the fact that Anfield is turning into a real fortress where we're scoring on average over 2 goals a game every game. It's like, come and catch us. If you're good enough, if someone is good enough to catch us from here, hats off. You deserve to win the league. But there isn't anyone good enough. And that's just a fact.
That's the thing, Kev. That's the thing that I've come to realize over the last 2-3 weeks. Nobody else is good enough because we're better than
every time we drop points, they've dropped points.
Yeah. It's just a few things before we get out of here. Ashley, sharing from Dominic King. Arsenal need Liverpool to lose 4 of their next 11 games. This squad have only lost 5 of their last 76 Premier League games going back to April 2023. Hustlebone saying, though, can I just say I hate that we went from having a game in hand to being a game in head. The table lies. But I believe it was the little dear McGlinchey, or it might have been Rory Fitzgerald, that said, if we had held on against Everton and Arsenal had beaten West Ham like you would have expected them to, the lead still would only have been 10 points, not 11. So, and as Kev rightly pointed out, like that Korean airplane a couple of weeks ago, they're running out of runway. They're running out of runway in a real hurry, and things are getting
pressure is real. Do you know what I mean? We saw it today. We handled the pressure of the situation, the pressure of the table, the pressure that Arsenal dropped points. We saw how Arsenal handled the pressure yesterday when they panicked when they went down to 10 men. They experimented with playing a midfielder up front because he scored 2 in the game before. They didn't really work West Ham keeper Areola anywhere near him. And West Ham played through them.
But then he also started throwing players into positions that they haven't played for ages. Like Zinchenko hasn't played centre mid for Arsenal ever.
Yeah, they're not. Pressure is telling that you search for things when you're under pressure. We are the pace setters. We are not. It's a bit of a novelty for us to be the pace setters. We get to go at our own course, and everyone else has to catch up. They all have to get creative. They all have to come up with unorthodox ways to get their wins or whatever. You have to play a midfielder at center forward. We are the ones that are setting the pace. It is up to them to catch us. And honestly, I'm so glad we're not in the position where we have to depend on other people to do us favors. No, our team is doing the business. Their teams are not. And just enjoy it.
When it comes up to the game against Newcastle, I think this block of 5 games is arguably the toughest run of 5 games that we're going to have between now and the end of the season. Newcastle are never easy, ever. City away, tough game. Everton, Derby, horrible game, always horrible. Villa away, nasty place to go. Really good side, in form. The only one that you'd say, Bournemouth are having a season of all seasons, and you go and take points off them. Wolves can be anything on a day. So it's not as if we're playing slouches or anything. It's like you look at the current form that Everton on. They're one of the form sides in the league at the minute.
6 defeats, I think now, aren't they?
Yeah. So it's like you get the Newcastle one out of the way. Hopefully you get a positive result in that one. The next league game we play is Southampton, and then we don't touch the league until after the international break.
We've got one league game in March, which is absolutely crazy.
Brian makes a great point there. We've passed every single test that's been thrown at us so far. Every single one that's been thrown at us, we've passed it.
Fucking champion Suda cum laude is all I got to say about that. Things were absolutely fantastic. If we go any longer, Gav will be absolutely
We're going to move right into the Sunday night show.
We'll just
do a hand
coming on in about 2 hours.
No, we won't be doing that. We won't be doing that. It's bad enough that I... That doesn't look like a Saudi flag at all, Davey. I don't know what you're talking about, but it is a very, very polarizing...
Look at Kev's face. Look at that one. He's got you, Kev.
But yes, Gav and some collection of the fellows will be back.
At the kneecaps today. I think you've insulted every single one of us.
Kevin, Ashley, we need to.
This is my tribute to former Bristol City player Andrew Cole.
I'm amazed at the level that you've been able to get every single one of us in one show.
This is what happens when you're the host, Ashley. These are the things. You've got a few more things to learn. You've hosted a couple shows now, but you'll pick it up.
I'm a rookie. I'm learning.
Don't teach it too much, for God's sake. I'll never say it.
Yeah, Matt, God help you next time we do a show and Ashley's hosting.
Looking forward to that.
I come by it naturally. I'm not too worried about it. But yes, Gav and the boys will be here in just under 2 hours to go through things all together and wrap up the whole weekend. What was a Carlsberg weekend for Liverpool Football Club, because there's no doubt about that. But 8 points clear, 11 points clear, a game in hand, not a game in hand. The only thing that matters is they lost and we fucking beat Man City. And as John R. with his super chat said, happy as a pig in shit. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you after the next game.